want to be known and I want to be remembered as a great fighter.
Harrai Singh, the 23-year-old Sikh amateur mixed martial arts fighter from Manchester, has the big dream of making it to the professional level. For a lot of people, martial arts is just a hobby, but for Harrai, it was the world he was born into thanks to his earliest father figures.
I've always been close to like martial arts. I've always been immersed in it. I've always been around it. If it wasn't like my granddad watching Bruce Lee films with him, or seeing my dad go to karate late at night with his gi and his black belt, I've just always been around it.
Well, we grew up watching Bruce Lee films when we were kids, you know, 6, 7, 8. One of my uncles, he had a mixtape, and they had all the clips of all Game of Death and Enter the Dragon all merged onto one. And everybody loved martial arts, kickboxing, karate. So we just grew up watching martial arts, and then we started doing it when we were young, you know, from 10, 11 years old. Yeah, so it's a big part of our family.
Proper enthusiastic for martial arts, just mad on like old school martial arts, and as soon as he got on the mat he was doing like flashy techniques. He was doing like spinning back kicks and wheel kicks and stuff, and we was like, where have you learned all that?
Obviously my family were born in Salford, which is especially back in like the 70s, 80s, quite a racist place, very like white area, so I guess one, it was to defend themselves.
We grew up in Salford in a area called Higher Broughton, which was mostly like a white area, and it was our family that were like the Sikhs, the Singh family. We went to a school in Salford called Kersal High School, and it was quite racist. You know, we had quite a few problems there back in them days.
I think a moment that really shaped me as a fighter is when I was younger. Like I didn't necessarily get bullied, but I was a small kid. Although I did like martial arts from a young age, I was always kind of like wary, because like the area I'm from, like if something goes down, am I like fully equipped to defend myself? So just being around it, seeing kind of violence around me and stuff, I was always kind of somewhat nervous, like if it goes down, am I prepared to defend myself and defend other people?
For some people, this level of love for combat sports may raise alarm bells, but for Harrai, there is a spiritual love for the game, a love formed through his faith.
It's definitely a big thing for all the men in my side. I don't come from like a violent household, but everyone knows how to defend themselves. All the men know how to, like, if something goes down, they're equipped to defend themselves. And like when it comes to Sikhi, like it's one of the biggest things. Like I come from a lineage of warriors. I feel like fighting is such a spiritual thing. You know, there's so much that goes into fights, and like every single fight, I wear the Sikh flag around me, and I feel the energy it gives me. Like I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. But just knowing that I have my God with me, there's nothing to fear. And I like to represent as well. I want to let everyone know I am a Sikh fighter. I'm a fighter, and I'm a Sikh as well. I'm a Sikh first. You know what I mean? So I feel so privileged to like be representing the Sikhs on the big stage. You know, fighting. It's a big blessing for me, and a big responsibility as well.
Many people grow up kicking a ball and falling in love with football as their introduction to sport, but for Harrai, it was all through his father and sparring with him as a kid.
Yeah, so some of like my earliest moments, it's not even when I was in training. Like I remember, I used to put like these small little goals, and I used to spar my dad, and me and my dad would just tussle and like spar and move around and stuff.
So when he was young, we used to go to the clubs together, and we'd been to a few like martial arts clubs where I've sparred with him as a kid. He was only small at the time, and I used to go to another gym called David Lloyd, which is a few miles away from here, and we used to spar on the squash courts just together, get our gloves. He was maybe 14, 15.
After years of training with his dad, he began his own martial arts journey in Taekwondo, a Korean form of combat sport with a focus on striking with punches and kicks. However, in his teen years, he entered the mixed martial arts gym for the first time and never looked back.
I remember the first time I went to the MMA gym, you know, I was a little bit nervous. You hear about MMA, you think it's all like these tough guys and that, but I was welcomed immediately.
He came in and he was doing like the kids' classes. I was teaching him at the time, and then before I knew it, he was just in the gym all the time, like every day. It was around like probably the COVID times as well, so there was like a summer where he was just in the gym every single day.
It was crazy because I only went there once, but I immediately felt like home. Like everyone was so nice, and I got so much positive reinforcement, and everyone was like looking out for me and looking after me and stuff. It was great.
Then, like all notorious fighters, he gained his own nickname, which became more than just a tagline.
You know your like nickname?
Yeah.
Did you give that yourself?
Nah. I'd never want to be that guy to like give myself my nickname. Like, yeah, call me this. I was a little kid in the gym. I was about 15, and I I came from a taekwondo background, so I was throwing like loads of mad crazy spinning kicks and wheel kicks and stuff. And then my coach told me, he was like, "Oh, you're pretty flashy. I'm gonna call you the Flash." And then I was like, "Okay." And then it just like stuck for the rest of my life. Like everyone in the gym just knows me as Flash.
He would never do like the basic stuff. He was always doing fancy wheel kicks and stuff like that. He doesn't throw the fancy stuff quite as much anymore, but he's still like definitely got an eye-catching style, and he is still pretty fast. So yeah, so the Flash nickname still fits.
Like a teenage years where I was kind of nervous and anxious and stuff, and I kind of like struggled with like self-confidence and stuff as a young kid. But then obviously martial arts brought it out of me, where I was a lot more grounded after learning like martial arts and learning how to like defend myself and stuff. So I kind of just like, we talk about Flash, like when I'm fighting, it's not Harrai, it's Flash. That's my alter ego. When he takes over, like Flash is more the fighting version of myself.
But his dream is more than just to make it as a pro.
I want to have my name big. I want to be known, and I want to be remembered as a great fighter. Like, I want to be the best, not just the best Sikh fighter, but the best fighter. But I want everyone to know, because there's not enough Sikh fighters, you know what I mean? I want little kids to see me when I'm older and almost be like, well, he did it, I want to do it as well. I want to inspire the new generation of young Sikhs.
Harrai had clear talent that was on show for everyone to see, but there were hurdles he had to overcome before he could come close to realising his potential.
Harrai as a kid was hard work. He was full of energy. He was always getting into trouble and stuff at school, but he's a good kid, you know, deep down he's a good kid. But he was always full of energy and always like the funny guy.
I'd say consistency has been like something that he's had to work on. To be honest, when I first opened my gym, that was like 3.5 years ago, Flash would have been 19 or 20, and he trained a lot, but he would have periods of time where he'd drift away and not train as much. This is what he used to do. He used to skip out on the grappling stuff. He'd just do the striking stuff that he enjoyed and he was good at, and then he'd just neglect the grappling side and the strength and conditioning side. And over the years, we've obviously had to have some stern chat. Yeah, he has got to a point where he's boxed all that off now, and he's doing good with it, and his consistency's really like leveled up.
Despite the Flash nickname and the new family-like community found in MMA, there are also the harsh realities of being a parent of a fighter.
Yeah, I don't like it. The truth is, you know, he really wants to do it and he's passionate about it, but I would prefer he did something else.
I know it's hard for him, you know what I mean? And even then, he's a pretty hardened guy, you know what I mean? He's had a couple scraps before. I know it still can be hard for him from time to time, like if he sees me get hurt, or if I come home and I've got like a cut from training or something. I can see it, especially in his old age. He's kind of getting soft in his old age. He's always supported me though. Like, I don't know where we'd be without him almost, man. Like, he's sacrificed so much for me to do all this, man. Like, where would I be without him?
Prepared to get in the cage and have a one-on-one with somebody, it takes a lot of courage, and I think a lot of people don't have it. Watching him get into the cage and having a scrap with somebody, it's made me realise that, you know, he's got what it takes to do that.
There is this stereotype that as a fighter, he feels no pain and has zero fears, but that is far from the truth.
You know when you go to a dentist or something, and then you're like, I get punched in the face, but like I can't hack this pain.
Yeah. So when I was getting like surgery on my ear, I had to get my ear like cut open. I had to get it stitched up. Because like, it was cauliflower ear, they thought I was like a fighter. Well, I am a fighter, but they were like, oh yeah, it's just the needles. And I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. They were massive needles and they were like putting them in my head, and I was like, no, please. And the girl was like, come on, you're supposed to be a fighter. I was like, that doesn't mean I just have zero fears. Like there's almost like a stereotype, like if you say you're a fighter, like people think you're invincible, you're some superhero. Like, I'm just like you. I get scared just like you, I get hurt just like you. I'm a normal person.
In MMA, the art of grappling is vital, with much of the fight happening on the floor. Harrai was dealt a huge wake-up call in his debut.
Because it doesn't really matter how hard you can punch or how fast you can kick if you lay on your back with somebody on top of you, like it's pointless. Like all them skills become completely irrelevant.
I remember I had my first MMA fight, and still being a striker, I wasn't too competent in the grappling. And the starting of it went well. I opened up pretty sharp. I remember I defended his takedown and I ended up dropping him with the right hand. And as I was trying to finish him, his grappling was way better than mine. And like I wasn't well equipped enough in the grappling area, and he ended up winning. He took my back and he got me with a rear naked choke.
He was heartbroken and gutted, but because he got submitted, I think it like highlighted to him how important the grappling side of MMA is, and how much he needed to buckle down to level that part of his game up.
Like I hate losing, and so, you know, it was kind of tough. And I remember like a couple things happening at camp. I injured my arm and stuff, but I was like really like, I was determined to like get through it and win. And I think it hurt that much more because I was like that close to winning. I dropped him, I was so close to finish him. But out of all my fights, losing that fight, that was one of my favourite fights because it really opened my eyes, and I grew so much and I learned so much after losing that fight. I really grappled a whole lot more, and it changed me. So as like mad as it sounds, my favourite fight is the one that I lost because I learned so much and like I grew so much because of it.
The crushing defeat in his debut fight lit a fire in Harrai to step up his training and not feel that level of heartbreak again.
And I remember telling my coach in the back, like, that's not going to happen again to me. I'm going to do that to someone. So I really focused on the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling and the grappling. And then my next fight afterwards, I took him down and I submitted him. And I said to my coach, like, I told you I'd submit him. And it was a great feeling, like getting the win, you know what I mean? After that, and then I got even like the biggest win of my career so far, like getting that spinning back kick on FCC. And I think it was like that much more big because it ended up going viral as well.
Despite getting the big wins he had wanted for so long, that winning feeling was not what he expected at all.
I'll be honest, I felt this weird like imposter syndrome. I've been wanting it for so long and it just happened, and I was like, is this really happening? I had to like pinch myself almost like, okay, I'm doing this. Like I didn't think it would come this quick, you know what I mean? And I don't know, it kind of sent my head a little bit west a little bit. I didn't know where I was at. I was in this limbo phase of like, I feel good, but why doesn't it feel like everything I thought it would be? I thought my life would change after getting that big win. But you know, after speaking to my coach, he really kind of like grounded me and brought me back. And so just a little bit of an up and down.
As always, it was the father figures in his life that picked him up and kept him focused, even when at times he didn't see eye to eye with them.
My dad was a really big part of like martial arts and my life, you know what I mean? He's helped me with a lot, and sometimes we didn't really see eye to eye, but he's been one of my biggest supporters. I'd be like, telling the truth, I'd be lost without him, and like he's helped me with almost everything in my life.
I think you go through stages with your father. It's like when you're very young, you look up to him and he's your hero. And then when you get into your late teens and early 20s, you think your dad's wrong all the time or you know better. But as you get older, you realise that the guy's looking out for you and he only wants what's best for you and to do better than he's done himself.
I've known him for so long, since he was in like year 8 or year 9 when I first met him, little kid, and now he's like 23. Like it's a big stretch of time that we've been around each other, so I've seen him go through a lot and like go through a lot of like important stages of his like of him growing up basically. So yeah, he's come to me with like personal issues, like family issues or whatever. When he's been through stuff in his personal life, I've kind of tried to be there for him.
His dream of being a pro is very much alive, but he's fighting for something more than just himself.
I think until recently it was always a bit of a, I don't know about if a pipe dream, but it was always something that he kind of liked the idea of, but his actions never reflected it. When he was younger, obviously he was a kid, but now he's started to mature into like an adult and he takes responsibility.
I represent my dad and my family and all the people believe in me. I represent all the Sikhs as well. It's almost like a responsibility to perform and to do well, because like there's so many people that support me. It's like people say you've got to be selfish in the game. I think it's the opposite. Who would I be without the people around me? Like I have such a solid support group around me, you know what I mean? My mother, my father, my sister, all my family and friends, you know what I mean? All the Sikh community behind me as well. It's like I owe them to be great.